Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Woodcraft CZ, and in this video we'll be going over the UJK drill guide from Axminster. So let's get straight into it. Here we have the sight line, used to line up the drill bit to any reference guides you may have laid out. We also have a JT2S chuck with a 1 to 10mm clamping capacity. Here we have the gauge that can pivot the drill bit from -60 to +60 degrees. And these are centering grooves for drilling round stock, which I'll demonstrate later in the video. These are depth stop collars with brass clamping knobs. The travel on them is very smooth. Overall, the drill guide seems to have an amazing build quality. It just feels solid. But first things first. That's better. Right, so alignment. Let's see how true it is. I've put the chuck into the drill bit. It was fairly straight, so it was a good reference point for my right angle. I'm setting the depth stop, so it frees up my hands, so I'm able to make small adjustments. So while I'm doing this, I just wanted to talk to you guys about why I made this video. When I was shopping for a drill guide, I really didn't know where to start. I was doing my research and a lot of them just seemed to look very flimsy, and I was very apprehensive of this. I didn't want to buy something only to return it or just have it sitting there and not using it. So I'm hoping this video helps someone else if they're in the same dilemma as I was. So after some small adjustments, I got it to 90 degrees. But to be honest, in day-to-day work, I'm not sure how accurate it's really going to have to be. I mean, we're talking hairline tolerances from the markings on the gauge. So just going to shine a light to see how flush it is against the set square, and then I believe it's good to go. I won't be doing this on a day-to-day basis. I'm only really doing it for the video and show you guys how accurate it is or isn't, and I'll be using the gauge just to eyeball the angle. So here it is. It's pretty much spot on, and I'm pretty happy to proceed. So time to finally drill something. I'm going to use a 20mm Forstner bit. Just going to try both drills. My preference is the Festool. It's lighter, it's smaller, but in hindsight I think I should have used the Makita because it's more powerful, and the 20mm Forstner, as you'll see, was a struggle with the Festool. As you can see, there's a little bit of lift, but manageable. Using a clamp would alleviate this problem, I'd say. This is where I began to wish I'd used the Makita drill. Well, we got there in the end, eventually. There was no wobble in the process, and I was happy with how it felt. I'm just using some calipers to see if there was any movement in the positioning as I was clearing the Forstner bit during the drilling process. And yes, it married up very well. Okay, so on to setting an angle. I believe I set it to 45 degrees. It's a very straightforward process. Just loosen the knob, adjust the angle, and then retighten. I just want to add that the attachment the drill goes onto is a 1/4 inch, making it compatible with the Festool Centrotech system. One thing I noticed when drilling at an angle, I had to set the drill bit more pronounced, as it gave it more length. I'm pretty happy with how it felt drilling at an angle. There was no noticeable vibration or any juddering. The whole thing was pretty smooth. And as you can see, it was a pretty clean cut. Right, now on to drilling the side of round stock. You can see the grooves just let the round stock sit, offering the centre to the drill bit. Being that the stock is round, I have it clamped for added security. So far, using the drill guide has been pretty straightforward and simple, with no real issues to hand. I bought this using my own money, which brings me to the reviews I read on this, which put me off at first, so I wanted to go over in the video some of these points with you, the viewers. The main one that stood out to me was this rubber mat that people complained about. You can see I'm pointing out the soft spots that seem to get recessed as you push it, and there are some hard spots. The only thing I can really notice is that there is potential for deviances in the level of it, but you have the cast aluminium base offering that true flat surface. I think because of the different tolerances in rubber, each unit might have fluctuating imbalances or imperfections that cause the unit to wobble, but as you can see here on a bit of laminate, there's very little play. I personally don't have any issues with this. I would also probably use a clamp if there was a cause for concern in regards to accuracy, but I don't even think then it really needs it. Something else people mentioned that they didn't like are the rubber knobs at the end of the shafts. I personally have no issue with this. I don't mind them coming off. For me, it's just an easy way to remove the chuck and body of the chuck or the chuck holder. I can also take the depth stops off if I want to get a little bit deeper. I suppose you could argue that they're easier to lose, but I'm not really too bothered. It's really up to you how you feel about it. So here I'm unscrewing the centering pins, as you can see. Then I'll be fitting them to the base, here and here. So we place the guide on the stock we're going to drill, and we turn it so both pins with a positive stop meet the stock, and then you pretty much drill. This gives us center. As you can see now, it's pretty spot on. And this next bit, we have Ron guest starring. This is a centering vise for the drill guide. I also bought this with my own money. Here I'm just fitting it to the unit. You can use flat and round stock in it. It has a groove to allow the round stock to sit center. I like to use the chuck to center the vise while I secure it to the base. I just lightly tighten the 4 screws, make sure it's center, and then hand tighten them again. So I'm just marking the stock with the center finder so we can use it as a reference point for the end result and see how accurate the centering vise really is. The vise is attached to the base via slots in the base, so if there is any adjustments needing to be made, it's easily done. But if you use the chuck method that I showed earlier, you should be pretty much center straight off the bat. So going off the reference guides we did earlier, I think that's pretty spot on. I'm happy with that. So to summarise, I think the drill guide is great. I'm not really disappointed in it. I think if there was to be a new iteration, I'd like to see some maybe added features, such as the ability to attach an edge guide, so you can have the same offset along that edge. I would also like to see maybe positive stops on the angle gauge. Not necessarily every increment, but perhaps the more major angles such as 90 degrees, 45 degrees, etc. That would be a nice addition. So this brings me to the end of the video. So let me say thank you if you've stuck all the way. If you haven't subscribed and you've enjoyed my content, please consider doing so, as it's a great help in building my channel. So from me and Ron, until the next video, take it easy guys.